He wasn't playing mono red there, so.
That's true. Per Nystrom, his opponent, Death and Taxes. It's kind of surprising, actually. Blood Moon is better against this deck than you would think. They have 4 Wastelands, 4 Rishadan Ports, 2 Rising Canopies, and 2 Karakas going with 11 planes. It just actually forces Nystrom's hand to draw planes, which he's done along with Aether Vial here. When I played Imperial Painter in Seattle, I played against this matchup twice. I beat it twice, but it was really kind of interesting. I had to go through some weird hoops to get the job done, and that might be the case here for Greg. We'll see what ends up happening. They definitely have some cards in Imperial Painter that are, in Death and Taxes that are good against you. Spellskite stops quite a few of them, though.
So for those of you not up with all the legacy nicknames, Death and Taxes, sort of a derivative of Maverick. It is a mono-white creature deck with a lot of disruptive elements. It plays cards like Phyrexian Revoker to try to block people out of playing some commonly played effects in the format. Cards like Aven Mind Sensor to disrupt all the shuffling that goes on and so forth. So it plays basically as a base white beatdown deck, but has some amount of disruption and utility as well.
Thalia going to show up to the party here for Nystrom. It's kind of interesting. It's like more of annoyance than anything. It's not great against Greg's deck because he's not trying to resolve. Like, Blood Moon isn't his game plan in this particular matchup. It can be good. It can definitely happen, but it's not the actual game plan here.
Especially once his opponent has both a Plains and an Aether Vial in play, pretty unlikely to do much with Blood Moon.
Yep. See what Nystrom wants to do. He's got his Vial on 2. He's going to play a Phyrexian Revoker. See what that's going to name here. Wouldn't be surprised if it's just Spellskite straight up, but we'll get confirmation on exactly what that Revoker will name, as Nystrom is just going to play that and pass the turn back. He's going to name Grindstone with that. All right.
So certainly aware of what Greg is up to.
Yeah, pretty dead giveaway. When they play an Ancient Tomb in a mountain, if you're familiar with Legacy, which Nystrom looks to be, you know that you're probably up against Death and Taxes here. Or excuse me, you're up against Imperial Painter.
So Imperial Painter again, all this deck is about. Get Grindstone into play, get Imperial Painter, set things to blue, flip over someone's deck.
This is a Blood Moon. And I don't know if you've seen Greg Smith's hand, but he actually has a copy of Chandra Pyromaster in play.
There is one copy in his list.
Or in hand, which is really good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's supposed to just be kind of another dividing top effect to look at more cards, but against his opponent's sea of one-upness creatures, it might do some real work.
Yeah, this could get like really bad really fast. Revokers are both on Grindstone. Oh, I didn't see he didn't name Chandra.
Must not be that familiar with the format.
There's a Flicker Wisp. It's going to get that Spellskite out of the way and allow Nystrom to attack here for 6 points of damage. Now, the only problem here for Greg is that because the Thalia is in play and the Blood Moon is actually just a mountain now, we're a little ways away from that Chandra. But then again, did pick up another copy of Simeon's Spirit Guide.
Yeah, the big issue is that Greg might just get beaten to death before Chandra can take over the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 10, took a big hit last turn. He's taken some shots from his own Ancient Tombs. But Chandra does have the possibility of really taking control of this game if he can stabilize the board.
See what Smith wants to do here. That's actually kind of an interesting spot. Chandra could play like a huge, huge role in this game if he can just get it down and be able to fire away on a couple of creatures. It looks like that might be the route he's going to go. Yeah, Simeon Spirit Guide is going to move for red mana. And now here is the Chandra.
Bet you didn't see this one coming.
And in response, well, never mind.
Brutal.
Yeah. So what Nystrom does there is with Chandra on the stack, he activates Aether Vial. Aether Vial resolves, put Phyrexian Revoker into play, name Chandra Power Master, and now that won't get to do anything either. So the 3 Phyrexian Revoker draw, actually pretty good.
Yes.
In this situation. Really, really good. Nystrom's going to untap here, and he's untapping. Man, he's got a lot of creatures in play. Going to leave his Vial on 2.
So this is a pretty good execution of the Death and Taxes game plan. He's got some pressure on the board, and the utility provided by Phyrexian Revoker is preventing Greg from doing much of anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is just straight up exactly how Death and Taxes wants to play, outside of the fact that it didn't draw a Wasteland or a Port to mess with the mana very much, but Thalia and Revokers are stopping things from happening, and the 4th Revoker is actually in Nystrom's hand. So that was actually going to be a pretty hard game for Greg to win, as Nystrom's going to win game number 1 here. Death and Taxes up a game over Imperial Painter. You've got Greg's deck list in front of you. He needs some help.
2 Torn Mods Crypts, 3 Ensnaring Bridges, 4 copies of Thorn of Amethyst, 2 Phyrexian Revokers of his own, a Magus of the Moon, a Manic Vandal, a Power Blast, and a Elemental Blast. Keep in mind that Imperial Painter has Imperial Recruiter. This allows it to play some bullets of 2-toughness creatures, Manic Vandal among them. I think the Vandal is going to come in. We saw Aether Vial. Phyrexian Revoker is a bit of a headache for Greg's deck as well. I think the 3 copies of Ensnaring Bridge may come in here as Nystrom is basically just trying to win through attacking. It is a little bit dangerous to lean too heavily on Ensnaring Bridge because we saw Flicker Wisp in that game. That's a way to break out of Ensnaring Bridge for 1 turn. So it can't be all that Greg's up to, but it can seriously slow down Pierre's base white aggro deck.
Take a look here at Nystrom's sideboard. There's 2 copies of Rest in Peace, 2 Oblivion Rings, 2 Wiltleaf Leech, 2 Ethersworn Canist, a Sun Lance, a Grafdigger's Cage, a Cataclysm, an Armageddon, a Ratchet Bomb, a Pithy Needle, and a Mirren Crusader. The goal here is to not get milled out by the 1-2 punch. I guess, you really want to keep Painter Servant in check as well, because if you keep that in check, I think that Greg would probably leave in the Painter Servant plus all the blasts.
Yes.
Just as 1 mana Vindicates. And so you want to make sure that you don't get really ruined by that. I actually kind of like Oblivion Ring in this matchup because the Imperial Painter deck actually has a lot of permanents that are worth removing, so I think that's a step in the right direction. Sun Lance is not going to get the job done, obviously, unless Greg would name white for some reason, but I don't think that's going to happen. Ratchet Bomb is actually pretty good, and the Pithy Needle is pretty good. So I like those as options.
Well, Sun Lance is non-white creature.
Oh,
right?
non-white creature, sorry.
Yeah, so you can bring it
backwards. No, you can bring it in. You can bring it in, I'm sorry.
Kill some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oblivion Ring and those kind of effects are pretty good against Imperial Painter because they often have to chain together the combo through multiple turns.
Yeah.
Very rarely do they get to go Painter Servant, Grindstone, Activate Grindstone all in one shot. You have to break it up over multiple turns.
Yeah. That was a pretty one. I mean, Revoker's very, very good against this deck.
Yes. It's all about activated powers. I mean, you saw that game, Greg was trying to win through Grindstone, had drawn a Jaya Ballard, had a Chandra in play. Phyrexian Revoker did all sorts of work.
How do I feel about Death and Taxes right now? This deck is really on the incline right now.
It has been for a while. A large part of its popularity in the last year or so was in response to the rise of Sneak and Show because of Phyrexian Revoker, Karakas, Thalia, and a quick clock. Death and Taxes has a very strong matchup against that deck. As Sneak and Show has received a little bit, I feel like Death and Taxes probably should as well, but a lot of its matchups are still pretty positive.
An Imperial Painter, I know that this deck seems like, to me, it's like, it's matchups where it's good, it's great, but matchups where it's like pretty poor, I think of Miracles, for example, it really struggles to win.
It's a lot to do with Blood Moon. I mean, this is the most powerful Blood Moon deck in the format in my mind. So when Blood Moon's at its best, and if you go back and watch the St. Louis coverage, the elimination rounds that Greg played,
it was good then.
It was really good then. I think that the deck just scales in power level to however good Blood Moon is. Not to say that it has to have Blood Moon to win, but when your opponent is susceptible to Blood Moon, generally speaking, the games are very easy.
Yeah. Saw a lot of turn 1 Blood Moons from Greg that weekend. And I always think of last summer, too, when we saw Ruben Bressler lose in the finals to Eric Rill with that deck. And then the weekend before that, Jonathan Suarez in Baltimore actually win the tournament playing Imperial Painter. And that's actually, that's kind of where, we had this uprising and then people were just like, all right, I'm not losing Blood Moon anymore. But I just remember when it kind of came out of nowhere with Suarez having a successful weekend in Baltimore and then Ruben doing the same, it was just like a lot of people playing against just Shardless Bug and just playing a turn with Blood Moon. And they didn't have Forcible at the time. And, I remember very vividly Ruben playing against Matt Hoey. And he's just like, play a Blood Moon turn. Matt Hoey's just like, yep. And he just took his hand because he was on the draw and he just put it in his deck and then started shuffling up for the next game.
Yep.
Just, okay, you win. That's fine.
It is one of Legacy's most volatile cards. Ranges from a dead draw to game over on the spot, depending on how your opponent's deck is constructed and how early in the game it's being cast.
Also depends on their draw, too. I mean, in this matchup, for example, there are 4, 8, 9, 10. There are 12 non-basics and 11 basics. Now, it's not to say that, Per won't draw planes, but there can definitely be a draw where he just draws his Rising Canopies, his Karakas, his Wastelands, and his Rashad Ports. We've seen that happen with Death and Taxes many times.
Yeah, it's reasonably durable against Blood Moon because it has a fair number of basic planes and also has access to Aether Vial, but it's still, at times, very good against Death and Taxes.
So, game number 2, we're going to be underway here in just a little bit. Nystrom versus Smith. Both players taking a look at their opening hands. Round 5 of 9 here in Cincinnati. Andrew Tencham, our standard open champion with Black-Green Devotion. If you thought Pack Rat was done, you are wrong, my friends, as an Ancient Tomb is here.
I don't know if anyone was ever under that impression.
I was just hoping, mostly. Here's a Phyrexian Revoker. We'll see what this is going to name. This is the Phyrexian Revoker All-Star match here.
Yes.
Going to name Aether Vial.
The Revoker Mirror.
Yeah. They're everywhere.
On the A to B parent board on green paper.
Smith actually has a pretty good hand here. 2 copies of Painter Servant, Imperial Recruiter, a Pyroblast, and a Mountain. So he could play Painter next turn and then blast something if he wants to.
Yep.
Really, really good draw for him. Nystrom going to play just a basic Plains, and he's going to play Mother of Runes. That's worth killing. See if he wants to.
Well, maybe, maybe not. I mean, Greg could just go after the land here and say, I'm going to combo you out.
That could be a delight as well.
I think it's in play.
Greg going to play a Mountain. Drew 1 for the turn as well. Going to take 2 here from Ancient Tomb. Going to go down to 16. There is a Painter's Servant. Can name blue and just pass the turn back.
Okay, so he's just going to do neither.
Yeah.
Try to fight over something meaningful.
He can do whatever he wants with those blasts. It is just a 1-mana Vindicate right now, that's for sure. Or a 1-mana Counterspell.
Yeah.
There you do see the Scarecrow.
Although he has to be concerned now about the Painter Servant getting killed in response to a blast, but
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. A nice turn. The thing that's really scary about playing against Painter is, you know, you always feel like you could die at any moment. Like once
Yes.
there's a Painter in play and you have the double lands, because it takes, for Grindstone, 1 to cast and 3 to activate. It's just like, I could die at any second, so I need to tread pretty carefully, as here is a Vial, which is being named with Revoker, so, you know, that one doesn't matter too much. But Nystrom seems like he really wants to keep up, or at least represent Swords to Plowshares right now, which he does have in his hand.
yes. But even from this spot, in theory, land plus Grindstone is lethal. Takes not that much.
Yeah, this could be a situation here that's very easy to do, which is just play the Grindstone with 3 mana available and then never move.
Yeah.
An attack here from the frisky Painter Servant. Gonna get in for 1. This is a Mountain. We might see Imperial Recruiter get cast here. Smith gonna go down to 14 and go do some tutoring. See what he wants to search for. What's the package?
He has a Spellskite, a Phyrexian Revoker, a Jaya Ballard, 4 Simian Spirit Guides, 2 Magus of the Moon, and a Goblin Welter, plus the Painter Servant, and additional copies of an Imperial Recruiter, I guess, if he wants to go looping.
That's part of the charm for this deck for me. The tutor package of just,
The 1/1 with buyback?
yeah, just like the mangled, strange creatures this deck can search for.
Oh, I thought you meant the Imperial Recruiter chain.
Oh,
yeah.
the chain of recruiters is always a delight, but, you know, just searching, like playing an Imperial Recruiter, I will go get a Jaya Ballard. Excuse me?
The only unfortunate thing about this deck, the deck's construction here, is that there's no way for Imperial Recruiter to go get Grindstone.
Yeah.
You can get Painter Servant with it, but you kind of have to wait.
There are some versions that do splash blue. You play Imperial Recruiter, go get Trinket Mage finds the Grindstone, go through the back door, side door, as it were. So just another copy of Phyrexian Revoker. Greg putting a lot of emphasis on that in this particular matchup.
I mean, there's a ton of creatures with powerful activated powers. And there's also Flicker Wisp, which can remove the Revoker at least temporarily. So if nothing else, there's an argument for having some redundancy on your Phyrexian Revokers in play.
And that's probably going to complete Greg's turn, as he has already played his land for the turn. So Revoker will go to the grip. You see he's got the blast still at the ready, along with a backup Painter Servant as well, just looking to find a Grindstone. I know that at the Invitational, Season 1 in Charlotte a little while back, Jared Betcher playing a red-white version of this deck along with Ruben Bressler.
Yeah, they played a couple plateaus to splash in Latent Tutor.
Yeah. Some people asking how, you know, the thoughts on that deck as opposed to just the normal red version. You know, you do have fetch lands to facilitate it, and plateaus and arid mesas and things of that nature. It could splash a card like Rest in Peace and some other things like that. So obviously those things come at costs.
I like the splash white version because it feels to me like Enlightened Tutor fits in so naturally to what this deck is doing. And then the extra stuff you get in the sideboard, you name most notably Rest in Peace. Some really high impact sideboard cards you get as Enlightened Tutor targets.
Betcher making the top 8 of that tournament. Just a Rashadan Port. See if we're going to activate that. We will not. Magus of the Moon, the draw. Not bad. Arid Mesa going to come down here for Greg. See if he wants to try to deploy the Magus here.
Not really that much upside to doing it. It's really only the port that gets shut down here.
Might have a little interest in shutting down his own Ancient Tomb. Maybe. But I don't think that's that great, as he's going to catch Refreshing Revoker.
Why would he want to shut down his own Ancient Tomb?
I don't know if there's a particular reason. Like, if for example, like, Wasteland wouldn't be able to kill it then.
Oh, sure.
So there's very small things there. And the fact that he might just want to actually just have Magasoon, like, the body in play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine to have a Grey Ogre in the spot. So.
Yeah, it's very minor.
Kayla Bailey. If Kayla Bailey is here, he supports the registration stage.
Also, he's starting to deal himself a little bit of damage.
Yep.
Yeah. He's going down to 13 now. There's the swords. It's going to take care of that. Gosh, that's really good timing there by Per.
That was sharp.
Yeah, in response to the Arid Mesa activation. So there would not be red mana available.
Yeah, Per is showing a lot of understanding of the matchup here.
Yeah, you can tell he's played against this deck before.
Yep.
Other evoker naming naming Aether Vial. So Greg wants Per to have to play an honest game of Magic.
Which is an odd request since Greg is trying to do anything but.
Again, our St. Louis Legacy Open champion. From feels like way back when now.
Yeah, all of 5 weeks, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, something like that. But winning during season 1 in very impressive fashion on day 2 of the Open Series there. Here is a backup Painter Servant. Per going to take that vial up to 2, even though it's not going to do very much. Draws a copy of Caracas for the turn. You see a Thalia in his hand as well.
And you can see why Greg really wants to shut down this vial. Not only is it really important for Per's development and trying to get enough pressure into play, but we saw in the last game, instant speed Phyrexian Revokers are really annoying for him to play against.
They really, really are.
Phyrexian Revoker is annoying enough. At least make him work with incomplete information.
And there's a Thalia. You see Per has another copy of Swords in his hand as well. Gonna cast the Swords right now. You gotta like the sequencing yet again here.
That was great. Again, Greg unable to play the Pyroblast once the Thalia was in play. Didn't really want to fight over Thalia either. And now he's back to square one.
And he just drew Grindstone for the turn too.
Wow.
And again, the reason that play is so impressive is because by playing Thalia first, okay, that happens. Now he pays the 2 mana for his Swords, which is what, he has to pay an extra for his Swords, but that means that Greg can't pay for his Blast unless he has Simian Spirit Guide.
Yeah.
So the goal is to keep Painter Servant off the board at all times, and so far it's working out quite well here for Nystrom. Here comes Magus. And Greg's just going to pass the turn back with the Ancient Tomb available. So those non-basics for Per, that Rashad and Port and that Caracas, those are just mountains right now. Along with the Horizon Canopy and Grip.
And Greg's life total under a bit of a duress here, so it's nice for that Ancient Tomb now to probably be a mountain as well.
Yeah. See, personally, I believe there's 2 Horizon Canopies and then a copy of Flicker Wisp.
And here's the thing, I'm sure Per would rather save this Flicker Wisp for a time where it's going to be higher impact, but he also just needs to start attacking. He can't sit here all day.
And this is the clock. And you see he's trying to figure out exactly what to target. It's actually a pretty good question. I don't know if there's any good targets right now. I wouldn't want to target Revoker and reset it.
Yeah, if nothing else, you're giving him some option.
Yeah.
Of course, Imperial Recruiter is not the thing at all you want.
Yeah, that's the last choice.
Right, so nothing really that good to do with it.
Just targets his own planes and passes the turn back, but now he does have a clock on the table. You see a Pyroblast picked up here for Smith. You can definitely tell that Nystrom has played this deck and Legacy before.
Oh yeah, his play in this match has been really sharp, both in a tactical sense and order of operation sense, and strategically, what is he trying to do in the game?
Like everything I've seen here. And you see the explanation here to the table spotter exactly on what is going on. Make sure everything is clear here. How did that planes become untapped? Flicker Wisp. Is it time to deploy the Grindstone? Looks like it might be, and it is.
Yeah, Greg is now facing a bit of a clock here, so there's no guarantee that, mana can be a bottleneck. I'm sure he would prefer to conceal the fact that he has a Grindstone, but he may not have enough mana to be that fancy.
The attack here for 3 is going to put Smith down to 10. Nystrom looks like he's going to cast a spell here. He's got a Pithing Needle. Well, that's timely. That'll take care of that. It's going to cost 1 more because of the Thalia. So we'll make sure that does get corrected. And now that is a really, really nice draw for Smith. Picking up a copy of Ensnaring Bridge. We'll bring that up for you guys at home because now things are going to slow down quite a bit.
Yeah, an oldie, but a goodie if you're a fan of your opponent not being able to attack.
Well, I think right now Greg Smith is a very big fan of his opponent not being able to attack.
Yeah, there's 1 bridge in the main deck and then 3 more in the sideboard. And it wouldn't surprise me if Greg has gone up to the full play set in the post-board games.
Each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand cannot attack. Now, the big thing here is with Pyroblast. It's either Pyroblast or Red Elemental Blast. You can help me with this since you're old school. You can cast one of those, and it says destroy the permanent if it's blue, so you can target it even though it's not blue.
That's the reason that Greg is playing with Pyroblast.
Okay.
So he can get his hand empty.
All right, now he has 2 cards in his hand. So Thalia coming into the red zone can safely attack.
Yeah, they're weirdly templated differently. Red Elemental Blast says counter a blue spell or destroy a blue permanent. Pyroblast says counter a spell or destroy a permanent if it is blue. This is why I generally sideboard Pyroblasts in my burn deck if I want to have that sort of effect, because Grim Lavamancer's in the deck. You always want to be able to just cast it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense actually. It's a weird thing.
Yes, it is definitely a weird template.
Sword's going to take care of the Magus. Wow, this is going to actually turn back on. Man, this turns back on the Rising Canopies and the ports. Really big. Going to have to pay 1 more, obviously, because of Thalia. And won't take 1 from the Rising Canopy because it's a mountain when he taps it, but that's a timely top deck. That's the 3rd Swords.
Yeah. Now, Pear may not be able to actually kill this Ensnaring Bridge, but he can potentially do 2 things. One is use Flicker Wisp to get off the table temporarily and attack. The second is use Rashad Port and similar effects to pin Greg's mana such that he can't cast a spell as he draws. That's a tough thing to do, but if, say, he draws another Port alongside the Thalia, this is not inconceivable.
Yeah, Greg is going to basically be in play anything that I draw mode.
Yes.
So that mountain, for example, that's going to come directly into play because he wants to keep his hand as empty as he can when the Snaring Bridge is in play. Again, you're staring at those 2 Pyroblasts that aren't really going to do anything, but he can cast them. Because of that weird text on the card.
Yes. That is one of the interesting arguments of Legacy. Are you supposed to play Red Blast or Pyroblast? It's better and worse against different things.
Per did pick up an Umazawa's Jite, it looks like. That one might actually be pretty good. Gonna take 1 off Horizon Canopy. It looks like he wants to leave Crocus available to bounce Thalia if necessary. This is actually going to be a very expensive Oblivion Ring, but again, another huge draw.
Yeah, I'm sure Pear is happy to pay whatever mana is required here to get that ring into play and get that bridge out of play.
Yeah, now I can start attacking. My Flicker Wisp is live again. Let's get in here. He might actually even go give my... giving a protection from red doesn't really do anything. My Thalia.
Yeah,
Because
the
it can
Revokers
block
can
with the
still...
Revoker.
Yeah, Revokers can still jump block.
Yep.
It does prevent Greg from making a triple block here, which is nice.
That's
but-
true. Yep, Revoker looks like it's going to be on jump blocking duty now. See both players shrug their shoulders. First strike, take care of the Revoker. Normal damage. Flicker Wisp put Smith down to 7. Death and Tax is looking very impressive right now. There's a Sensei's Divine Top. That's a big draw for Greg. See if he can find something in these top 3 cards. Gonna have to pay 1 more, obviously, because of the Thalia.
But Greg is running out of time.
Yeah. Now he gets to spin. See what he can find. You've seen Imperial Recruiter, a Lightning Bolt, and a Simian Spirit Guide. Recruiter might be the most important of those cards.
Well, it's not clear. Again, he can't. Well, does he have enough mana to do all this in enough time? It's 5 mana total, and Thalia's in play. But I guess it's just Imperial Recruiter can go get Painter Servant and cast next turn.
Yeah.
That's all 5 of his mana.
Because you have to keep
Yeah,
count of the fact that Ancient Tomb deals damage.
Right, he doesn't have the Blood Moon's not in play anymore, so.
Yeah.
Not sure I'm not positive he has enough mana and life to kind of get everything together in time.
And the other 2 cards are basically dead. Bolt is dead because of Mother of Runes. And then Simian Spirit Guide just simply doesn't matter.
Right.
That's the big problem right now.
Well, Simian Spirit Guide may matter if mana is a bottleneck.
Sure.
It's something that he can go grab with the Divining Top the last turn if it's the last piece of the puzzle.
Recruiter's interesting because it shuffles the deck.
That's true.
But he has to lose his, if he wants to do it this turn, he has to lose his top to do it. So there's that. Tough game here for Greg.
Yep.
But this is exactly the squeeze that Death and Taxes wants to put you in. This is honestly the goal of their deck, is to make it so that you can't do the things you want to as often as you want to.
Just try to deal enough damage while preventing your opponent from doing anything that powerful.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And keep in mind, Pear also has a Rashad Port in play, which further constricts Greg next turn.
We can't forget about the Mizo's Jite in his hand as well. Not sure what kind of role that card's going to play in this game.
It's not likely to be that important next turn because none of Greg's creatures in play provide that much. But if he connects a second time, then it means that Painter Servant can no longer kill at will. But this is a really tough spot.
You see Greg really taking his time here. 2 Pyroblasts in the grip. Just trying to figure out, is there any way I can get myself out of this situation? Because it's a really bad one to be in. And all you can do is pass the turn back over to Nystrom, who's going to quickly untap here. Take a draw. Still going to leave his Viola on 2. Again, Viola being cut off by the Phyrexian Revoker. That's in play.
Yeah, the problem with getting the Imperial Recruiter with the Divining Top is it necessitates that he taps his Ancient Tomb. So then he goes to 5, Flicker with Simpsons down to 2. So now Ancient Tomb is shut off. Pear gets to port a mountain on the upkeep, so now Greg has to try to go off next turn with only 3 mana.
It's just not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he has an alternate route that helps him here, but the route of just getting Imperial Recruiter for Painter Servant, that turn is a dead end. It's on board a dead end.
I think the alternate route, as you mentioned, might just be trying to find another ensnaring bridge. And there's no, that's not to say that's actually going to work either.
Yeah, it's time. It's
Yeah.
more breathing space, but
First strike damage takes care of the Imperial Recruiter normal damage. Flicker Wisp is going to put Greg down to 4. So Pear going to tap some mana here. Might just be for the Jite. Yep, that's going to come into play.
wisely decides that he would rather port than equip this turn.
Yeah. Port is doing a fantastic job. So we'll see what Pear wants to tap, if it's going to be a Mountain or an Ancient Tomb. While still keeping Caracas available to bounce Thalia if necessary. Been a well-played match by the Death and Taxes player.
So Pierre saying here, I don't think that you can kill me this turn, even if you have the Ancient Tomb. And if you tap the Ancient Tomb, then you're dead on board.
Yeah. You see Greg's going to use that mana to spin the top. But he knows what those cards are. That's no new information there. He might want to resequence things, but not even going to do that. He's going to cast Imperial Recruiter very, very quickly. You have to go down to 2 to do so. That's not so good.
You got to win this turn. There's, if you're going to tap that Ancient Tomb, you got to win this turn.
Yeah, you either got to win this turn or do something to keep yourself from dying this turn. And I'm not sure he can do it. I think Greg, again, someone who has won a Legacy Open with this deck earlier this year, If someone can find the way out of this situation, it's definitely him. But I'm not sure it exists.
I mean, he can try to say go and go for it, get one more turn at it. But then the Ancient Tomb is shut off and your mountain's getting ported. And
How are 3 mana to work with then?
if you couldn't do it this turn, how do you do it next turn, you know?
Yeah, the only thing I could think of here is if he does just say go, as you mentioned, your plan of, you throw away 2 blasts to get cards out of your hand, spin top, and then maybe find a bridge. That's the only thing I can think of.
But he doesn't even have enough mana to do that because Thalia is in play.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah, he's
Yep.
just getting squeezed on that side too.
Yeah, this is Death and Taxes really at work.
Yep.
Squeezes from all around. No hard locks, just a bunch of small little annoyances. The sock full of pennies, is that what you call it?
Yeah, the sock full of pennies.
Yeah.
As Burmaz or Sarah Avenger beats you down and your mana's getting tied up and you can't cast your spells. And
There's Recruiter. With that on the stack, we're going to draw a card with top. Interesting. What's he find? Simian Spirit Guide. All right. Definitely got a plan here. Looks like he's going to go try to find a Painter's Servant. Go get that. Will it matter? That's the question.
well, on board, he cannot cast the Servant this turn because the Tomb kills him, plus the Flicker Wisp attack.
Yep. See if Greg realizes that. Because our backup match, Brian Bronduin, has 1, so he has moved on to X and 1 as well. Just have to pass the turn back, bunch of cards in the grip. Per gonna draw his card. Not sure what that is just yet. Not sure it even matters at this point. He might have everything he already needs on the board.
I mean, if he draws a removal spell for the Revoker, he can maybe just kill Greg this turn.
Yeah, using something from the vial.
Just using Mother Runes to give one of the ground creatures protection, and then that's a lethal attack.
In we go. Suit up the Thalia with the Jite. Flicker Wisp comes across in the sky, you see. Greg blocking with the red creature because of Mother of Runes. So, first strike damage. Get that Recruiter out of here. 2 counters on the Jite. And Per is just going to pass the turn back here. He's got the port and the canopy at the ready. See how he wants to use the port here. See him a little crossed up. There we go. Gonna tap a mountain. As you mentioned, does not care about Ancient Tomb when you're at 1.
Does he win if he draws a mana this turn?
No, because Needle's on Grindstone.
Needles on grind.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's another thing he has to work around this turn. Yeah, jeez. That's so much.
I thought the same thing for a moment, too. Here's this. And the problem here is that it's because there are many problems. Excuse me. One of the bigger problems is that Blast costs 2 as well.
Yeah. Lost in the sea of all the disruption going on,
Yeah.
the needle hanging out also was lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. Blast costs 2. Needle's out there. Mother of Runes can protect things. Yeah, just there's just a huge mess out here.
Squeezes within squeezes.
Yeah. Now that being said, okay, so this actually gets interesting because what he can't do is he can actually blast the O-ring to get the bridge back.
Okay.
And that might actually be able to get something done. Gonna sacrifice this to draw a card first. Burmaz is the draw. Here's a Plains. Attack step? Not yet. Not yet. I think this is what we're gonna see. We're gonna see blast the blast the O-ring to get my bridge back.
There is a plow at hand.
Well, problem with that is he has a Simian Spirit Guide.
Run right back.
Simian Spirit Guide. That's 1 red mana. The other red mana is the mountain.
Wow.
Blast that. Now, he does have to tap that mountain to actually be able to blast that, but... There you go. And they see it. And now, all of a sudden, once the bridge goes back over Greg's way, there'll be no cards in hand. And Nystrom can't attack. I thought Greg was dead.
Yeah, me too.
I think Purr did too.
I mean, you know, Greg's not out of the woods yet, but he has a lot of big draws.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget either. That was Purr's 4th swords. So he might have some real trouble getting that painter servant off the table now too.
Yeah, he has access to his flicker wisps.
Yeah. So now Bridge comes back. Greg says, I don't have any cards. You can't attack me. Leave me alone.
Does he want a port or does he want a Bermaz?
I mean, at this point, Bermaz doesn't really do anything, right? I would want a port if I were Purr. Probably a shut down of City of Traders. It just doesn't seem like Bermaz adds very much to this board now. Looks like he will go with the 3-4, however, before passing the turn back over to Smith, who's going to untap, take a draw. Again, whatever he draws basically has to go into play. Is that Imperial Recruiter, maybe? He tapped the mana very fast. That is an Imperial Recruiter. Okay. Time to go searching.
And if he's got a Manic Vandal, he can break out.
Oh, my gosh.
Whoa, Greg. This has been really, really insane.
Oh, my goodness. Searches for a Manic Vandal. Gonna cast a Manic Vandal. That's coming in.
I thought Greg was playing out the stretch here, you know?
Yeah, me too. Me too. He's gonna kill the needle.
Wow,
now
this
the
is
grindstone's unlocked. Now Purr has to peel. What does he draw? He's reaching for mana. What did he draw? No way. Oh my gosh.
Greg.
Greg Smith with a smile on his face. He wins game number 2. We're going to play a third one here between Imperial Painter and Death and Taxes. Wow, what an insane game.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
That was incredible. How did he? Wow, I can't believe he won that game.
And putting the top, when he put the top back to get the Simeon Spirit Guide, I think he had mapped out that this was going to be about the path that the game was going to go down. Not a lot of time left in the round.
I tell you, I said if someone could find it, it would be him. I
Yeah.
didn't know the right way to go, and he took a little while in that one turn to think things through, and he definitely found the pathway to victory.
Yeah, that was just great. That was great.
It's not over yet, though. He's still another game win, and you can see Purr is he's a little taken aback there. I think he thought he was going to win that game, and truth be told, I thought he was going to win too. He had everything that he kind of wanted there.
Drew a bunch of plows. Drew a timely Oblivion Ring to break out the Ensnaring Bridge.
Greg,
You gotta be proud with that one.
yeah,
Gotta
so
be
Greg's
proud.
sitting up in his chair. He's feeling pretty good right now.
Feels like one of those games where there might have been one person in the room who could have won it,
Yeah.
and it was him.
Timely Imperial Recruiter searching for the Manic Vandal. That came in from the sideboard, I think. Yep, the Vandal came in from the board to take care of the Grindstone. I'm sure Purr thought he had him locked every which way. How's he going to get out of this?
Yes.
All right, you two. Let's see a third one here.
Yeah.
Death and Taxes Imperial Painter. Going at it. Nystrom will be on the play here first.
Ensnaring Bridge is such a powerful dimension for this matchup.
Yeah, it really, really is. And the funny thing is, it's so good in this matchup, and Death and Taxes still has ways to break through it
Yeah.
and get the job done. So it's not the end-all, be-all like it is against some decks. Let's hear some other runes to start.
Take it out with a bolt.
Pretty smart to get that thing off the table. Vial the draw here for Nystrom. Also has a Rising Canopy over there. See what he wants to do on this turn.
Has a lot of options. I mean, he can Vial, he can Stoneforge, he can Thalia.
No shortage. Really giving it a lot of thought here. We've seen him be very skilled on his own right playing this deck.
Yeah, it's been a great match thus far. But the sequencing here is so important.
Yeah, it really just is the pathway for the rest of the game for like the next couple of turns. He's just going to go with Vile. Still seems a little unsure of himself if that's what he wants to do, but that's the route he's going to take here. Greg going to very quickly play a Phyrexian Revoker, probably naming Vile before passing the turn back. Yeah. You can see the swords there in Purr's hand, but at the same time, do you want to save that for the servant, or do you want to get that thing off the table? Apparently he wants to get that off the table, so Revoker's gone.
Yeah, it feels like the Vile's too important.
Pretty important in Death and Taxes game plan to be able to mess with your mana and still be able to put creatures into play. There's a Wasteland.
You spoke about this earlier. You know, the Blood Moon effects, even though it's a mono white deck, can be pretty good here. Greg with a Magus of the Moon. Now, Pear does have his Vile in play, but he's going to be shut off with a lot of white spells.
And that's part of the reason that Greg named Vile, I think, with the Revoker. So he's going to add some mana here. There's an even Mind Sensor. So you have to slide that in. And make no mistake about it, that Magus of the Moon is a Blood Moon. That thing's not attacking.
Yeah. Not into an active Vile, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Mind Sensor is, though. Comes across for 2. Greg going to go down to 20. Purr did draw a card that he can actually play with Blood Moon actually happening right now, which is Revoker. All these Pivot Needle effects from both players. What to name? What to name?
Pear's still off to a pretty good start here. And he also has Stoneforge you can put in a turn. There you go, get a Jitte. Not that you can't get the Battered Skull now because he doesn't have white mana to sneak it in currently.
Greg's hand not so bad either. Got a Arid Mesa, Mountain, Sensei's Divine Top, and Imperial Recruiter. Now, of course, the Arid Mesa is actually just going to act as a mountain right now, but actually a pretty good hand. See, Vile looks like it's going to go searching. Maybe he's actually just going to put Thalia into play. Follow this up with the Revoker. We'll see what he's going to name with the Revoker before passing the turn back. He's going to go with Grindstone again, so there's a copy of Painter's Servant, so that's step 1 for Greg. Looks like he's going to put that into play right now. And that card's actually pretty important right now, too, because it actually slows the beats.
It's a 1-3, really good against 2-1s.
Now there's Sensei's Divine Top that's going to cost 2 because of Thigh before passing the turn back over to Nystrom, who will untap. See if he wants to put Vile at 2 or 3. He's going to leave it at 2. He does have Stoneforge Mystic in his hand after all.
I think he was hoping to draw a land this turn so he could Stoneforge for Jitte through the Vile, play it in Equip. And then he can start making some real inroads on Greg's board.
There is Stoneforge going to come on down. Going to go a searching.
I think Greg is just confirming really quick that Mind Sensor is not symmetrical.
Yeah, and it is not.
That would be some pretty poor deck building.
Yeah. And their Jitte will come into play.
Couldn't get the Jitte equipped this turn regardless because of the Thalia, of course, but still a good development turn.
That was the card I was actually scared of for Nystrom's side. He's found Smith did Chandra, Pyromaster, but again, as good as it is against this deck, it's always showed up a little too late.
Yep.
And now because of Thalia, it's going to cost 5 again, and we're a little ways away from that. Now you do see the Pyroblast there among the other options. There's also a Phyrexian Revoker hanging out. See what Greg's going to draw. He does draw the Blast. Going to play Arid Mesa. Pass the turn back over to Nystrom. Not going to play Imperial Recruiter because I only gets to look at the top 4 cards. I think Nystrom may have a Swords of Plowshares in his hand right now, but can't cast that one.
This Pyroblast is pretty taxed, though. There's a lot of annoying cards in play.
That's for sure. I think Per's trying to figure out, okay, what do I equip this Umezawa's Jitte to? And I think Greg may have thought that was in his hand. And he said he filed it in and I hardcast it last turn, so.
Right. It is hard to keep track of all the small stuff going on
Yeah.
in play.
Looks like it's time to equip the Even Mind sensor. Big question now. I think you see we're going to fire away. I had a feeling it was going to be the GT. You can make an argument for both sides if you take care of the Mind Sensor itself or the GT, but I think the GT is the only card that Greg really cares about, given the fact that he has one heck of a haymaker on top of his deck.
Yeah.
There's the Chandra, and he's going to pay the full 5 mana for it, and this thing's going to start to get busy. Starts on 4. It's ticking up to 5, though. What's the first thing you kill here, you think?
Probably the flyer.
Okay.
It's maximum protection for the Chandra.
Okay.
You have a 1/3 locking out all the 2/1s.
Yep. It's not every day you see Chandra Firemaster get busy in Legacy, but here we are.
Yeah, I imagine this is primarily for the 0 ability in the deck, not the 1 ability,
Yeah.
but we're here now, so.
Let's see what this is. This is another copy of Aether Vial. That one's not going to help. That means another part of Nystrom's army is going to go down as Greg is going to spin that top. You see Magus, you see the Revoker and the Mountain. Now the Imperial Recruiter is live as well. Elevator is going up. Thalia, kindly leave. And there's Revoker. We'll see what this is going to name.
I would imagine just another backup one on Vial.
Yep. Vial ticks up to 1. But now Nystrom.
He needs to find a Revoker pronto.
Yeah, he can't really do anything right now. These lands are locked down, and then Vials are locked down as well. And now who's the disruption deck here, really?
Greg's reaching the point soon where he's going to start going beatdowns.
Yeah, now he's got about 4 minutes to do so. To get that move on.
It's okay. He can also go ultimate with Chandra. I mean, there's still some lightning bolts left in his deck. It's not inconceivable.
Aha!
Oh,
Planes! Okay. And we're going to go after Magus. It's going to be a spinning at the top. Maybe he's going to try to find a blast here. Hit 1, 2, third card, Simian Spirit Guide. He knew about the other 2. Big draw of a Plains there.
Yeah, he needed to break out of this really bad.
There goes Magus. Now Nystrom's lands are back on. So those Rising Canopies, that Caracas, and Wasteland, they can actually do stuff. Purge got to get a move on now, though. Going to sacrifice the Canopy, take a draw. Again, the Vials aren't going to do much. Those are locked down by the Revoker. Sacrifice this other one here. Another Swords is the draw. Pass the turn back. Smith gonna untap those lands. Maybe on the upkeep, maybe sacrifice the Arid Mesa. Nice, happy drawing the Simian Spirit Guide. Actually, it looks like he draws the Magus. Okay, so he wants to get this back established.
Pear has also drawn another basic Plains from last turn, so now he's fully functional.
Get this Revoker out of here. That means Grindstone's back on now. And Smith just the Recruiter in his hand. You see the time. We're almost under 2 minutes here. Tick-tock goes the clock.
I'm surprised to see... never mind. That was freshly cast.
Which one, the Magus?
Yeah. I was about to say, I was surprised to see Greg not go beatdowns this turn, but that was the Magus from the previous turn. Next turn, though, we can start getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, got to. Gonna take a look here. Take a look at Chandra. What's the ultimate do?
Reveal the top 10. Pick a spell. You can copy it several times, 3 times. But it also, the plus power, keep in mind, makes it so that the creature that's targeted can't block. So Greg really gets to speed up the clock here if he wants to, because he can start attacking for 5 and then the additional point of damage that comes across from Chandra.
There's a Recruiter. Let's go a-searching. See what he wants to find here. Could get a backup Painter Servant. Could go get the Manic Vandal again. It was very useful for him the last game. You see him pull Jaya Ballard to the
I like
front.
getting Jaya here. Get those beats going.
It's time to close this one out. Looks like it's going to be Jaya B.
This is really exciting, too, because if he spins top at any point and finds a bolt in the top 3, he can just go ultimate.
Yeah.
Probably not a way that he expected to win during the tournament, but we're here now.
You know, I guarantee Greg Smith, who I know has been playing this deck for some time, he's won just about every way with this deck, truth be told. Gonna tick this up. Stoneforge, you don't get the block. 1 damage to you. Let's see if he's gonna get in the red zone here. Looks like he is. It's a little risky, but away we go.
The risk being a mind sensor or some such?
Just activate Stoneforge, put something into play, like a Batter Skull.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's a pretty good top there. You see a blast among the cards.
A lot of insurance.
Again, the vials for Per Nystrom are off because of the Revoker, so he's just got lands to work with right now. However, there's a Magus of the Moon in play. So just 2 planes. The rest of those cards are mountains. Chandra's going to tick up. Says Stoneforge Mystic, you can't block again. Feeling good enough to get everybody in the red zone this go around.
This is great.
If you don't love this, you don't love Magic, as far as I'm concerned. This is Legacy, baby.
This is the weirdness of Legacy on display right now.
3 mana. There's Jai Ballard. You better believe it. Nystrom at 5. Is there a way for him to get out of this? Looks like he wants to cast Swords of Plowshares, but he hasn't just yet. Draws cards for Schadenport. He's staring at his swords, and he's going to extend the hand. Greg Smith. 5-0. Star City Games St. Louis Legacy Open champion is having a day today. 5-0 here in Cincinnati.
That was really impressive.